Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my 2016 NFL mock draft. Post Los Angeles Rams first overall acquirement from the Tennessee Titans. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Before we start this is not which players should go where, but this is what the reports are and what I think will happen in this year's draft as of now. So let's get straight into it with the first pick. Los Angeles Rams will select Carson Wentz, quarterback out of North Dakota State. Rams who definitely going to select a quarterback this year with the fact that they traded up to get the first pick. Will be selecting North Dakota's Carson Wentz. It's apparently reports are suggesting that he is their favorite quarterback of all of them. Now let's get to the next pick. With the second pick, the Cleveland Browns in the new era under Hugh Jackson and the new management will select Jalen Ramsey out of Florida State. The corner/safety will be a great acquirement to the Browns organization, who will be trying to start a new franchise with him, and maybe could be one of the best picks in this year's draft, as in my opinion he is the best player in this year's draft. Now to the next one. With the third pick, the San Diego Chargers select Ole Miss offensive tackle Laremy Tunsil with the third pick. Now Chargers, who apparently have been big fans of Tunsil, and we're hoping that the Titans wouldn't select him with the first pick. Now when the Titans have traded down with the Rams, they have a chance to pick him up, and in my opinion they're probably going to take him. Reports are suggesting that he is their favorite player in this year's draft. Now to the next player. With the fourth pick in the draft, America's team Dallas Cowboys will select Ohio State's edge rusher Joey Bosa. While all teams will get probably one prospect above what they could get, in my opinion, Cowboys are in love with Joey Bosa, a player that plays a 4-3 system in Ohio State. Is a great player for a 4-3 system, and with Greg Hardy not coming back next year, I think this is a great addition to Cowboys. Now with the fifth pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select UCLA's athletic inside linebacker Myles Jack, who suffered a knee injury last September. He's coming off of the injury and will be ready for the next season. Jacksonville, who will probably select Myles Jack, would have selected Myles Jack even if Titans were still selecting number one. Will be selecting him because they're not going to select the defensive end, because last year they selected Dante Fowler and this season acquired Malik Jackson, and I think they will need somebody in that linebacker position. And getting somebody, Myles Jack, who can play all three positions, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, in both positions, would be a great addition to the Jaguars. Now with the next pick, with the sixth pick, the Baltimore Ravens will select defensive end out of Oregon, Deforest Buckner. Buckner, who's very productive in his college days, will be a great addition to Baltimore, who are probably would have drafted Ronnie Stanley if Titans would have being the first pick. But now with Buckner there, I think they're big fans of him, and that's why he will go there. Now with the seventh pick, San Francisco 49ers, who are probably surprised that Jared Goff is still on the board, so they will select him, the quarterback out of California. Even if Carson Wentz is their favorite player, they're not gonna get him because he's gonna be drafted number 1 overall. Okay, let's get to the next pick. The eighth pick in the draft, Philadelphia Eagles select Ezekiel Elliot, running back out of Ohio State. Eagles apparently are huge fans of Zeke and have been pursuing before they traded up to the 8th pick. Supposedly that's the reason why I actually traded up, besides getting rid of Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso. So yeah, in my opinion, this pick makes sense, as they need a running back that can play all 3 downs, and I think he's a great addition to Eagles Nation. Now to the next pick. With the 9th pick in the draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will select Vernor Hargreaves, corner out of Florida. Buccaneers will select him because as much as they have 2 corners who are very decent in Vernor and Grimes that they added this offseason, I think they're both declining as they're getting older, and getting somebody with Vernor's ability in the team will be a great addition. Apparent reports are that he will probably, if he drops this low, they're probably going to snatch him up. Now to the next pick, the New York Giants will select Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Well, this may shock a lot of people because last year they selected our tackle Flowers, but Flowers was a huge flop at the left tackle, as he's really just only good at the right tackle spot. So in my opinion, they will select Ronnie Stanley. Giants were very well known to draft off needs, not of player ability. So this makes a lot of sense. Ronnie Stanley, who's a great prospect but has some issues physicality-wise. But I think he would be a great addition to the Giants squad anyways. Now with the 11th pick, the Chicago Bears, who could go here corner or some other positions, will select Ashawn Robinson, defensive tackle out of Alabama. He knows the 3-4 system. I think, he's a great player to add them. He can go pass rush. He's a very good run stopper and could be a very great addition to the squad. And I think, Bears have to rebuild off the pass rush as the last season select Eddie Goldman last year. So we'll see what will happen. But in my opinion, I think Ashawn Robinson will probably go to the Bears. Now with the 12th pick, New Orleans Saints will select William Jackson the third out of Houston, the corner. Saints who last year was one of the worst, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Need help all over the place. And while a lot of people think that they will select defensive lineman here, I think their biggest prospect that they thought they're going to get is Ashawn Robinson. Now he's off the board. I think William Jackson is a great acquirement, a very physical corner, a very great corner out of Houston. So yeah, to the next pick. With the 13th pick, Miami Dolphins will reach and select Eli Apple, corner out of Ohio State. Besides Maxwell that they got from the Eagles trade, they don't really have any other really good corners. So getting somebody in Eli Apple, who may be a reach at this point, but Dolphins management isn't that good. Of course, they have a lot of salary cap issues, and they're not going to get any corners in the next few years besides the draft. And I think this will be a great addition to the Dolphins. Now, to the next pick. With the 14th pick in the draft, the Oakland Raiders will select Leonard Floyd, outside linebacker out of Georgia. This may be a little reach, but apparently reports that a lot of teams like him. He's a very athletic guy. He's not that strong, but he's very athletic. And, Alden Smith, who, of course, they signed to a 2-year deal, but will be sitting out this year. And Leonard Floyd can take his position for that. And, Floyd, who can play both inside linebacker, outside linebacker, would be a great addition to the Raiders. If Raiders are trying to win today, not tomorrow, not in the future, but right now, as they acquired, of course, a lot of players off season. So yeah, let's get to the next pick with the 15th pick, the Tennessee Titans. So of course they traded down here to the 15th from the first pick. Will select offensive tackle Jack Conklin to play the right tackle spot. The biggest issue for the Titans is last season was to say, to have a clean pocket for Marcus Mariota. And I think the first need they have to get is have him a clean pocket to throw the football. So I think Jack Conklin out of Michigan State, the offensive tackle, will be a great addition, and will be the first of many tags ahead for the Titans to become a very good franchise with a lot of picks in the next 2 years. Now to the next pick, the Detroit Lions with the 16th pick will select defensive end Jarran Reed out of Alabama. Lions will apparently have been big fans of Jarran Reed, from Alabama. And besides Anza, they don't have any really elite rushers. And adding somebody with Jarran Reed's ability will be a great addition to the Lions' defensive line. Now with the 17th pick, the Atlanta Falcons will select Shaq Lawson out of Clemson, defensive end. Last year they selected Vic Beasley out of Clemson, another defensive end who was very, very good at the combine. Shaq wasn't that good at the combine, he was decent. But I think the reasoning why they will go with him isn't because he's from Clemson, but because they had the fewest sacks, and were really bad defense. And adding somebody of Shaq Lawson who can get some sacks with the Falcons last season recording the fewest sacks in NFL would be a great addition in Shaq Lawson. And now having him and Vic Beasley from the Clemson would make him a very good pass rush. Now to the 18th pick in the draft, the Colts will select Taylor Decker, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Andrew Luck, who will be re-signing a long-term deal this season, needs to finally have a clean pocket to throw the football. And adding somebody with Taylor Decker who could go as high as the 10th pick to the Giants will be selected right here, and I think will be a great addition to the Colts, and I think they would be really happy to have him at the tackle spot. Now to the next pick, with the 19th pick in the draft, the Buffalo Bills will select Darren Lee, outside linebacker out of Ohio State. Rex Lyons is a big fan of players who fit his defensive scheme, and Darren Lee is one of them. He can drop into coverage, he can pass rush the quarterback, and would be a great addition. Apparently, reports are that they are really big fans of Darren Lee and his athleticism While he was very productive in the Ohio State's jersey, he would be a great addition to Buffalo Bills and to replace Mario Williams, who they lost this offseason to the Dolphins. Now to the next pick. With the 20th pick, the New York Jets will select Reggie Ragnow, inside linebacker out of Alabama. Jets, who are over their head in the cap problems, will select Ragnow to hopefully make the first linebacker issue fixed for the future, so they don't have to sign anybody in the free agency at that position. Ragnow, who's a very good player, will be selected here. And I think they have huge problems, of course, the quarterback position. How can they re-sign the quarterback? And in my opinion, they will try Geno Smith and Bryce Petty for that first quarterback role. Now to the next pick. 21st pick in the draft, the Washington Redskins will select Chris Jones, defensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Redskins, who shocked everyone by making the playoffs and lost their starting defensive tackle to the Patriots, will be selecting Chris Jones, who is, in my opinion, a very good defensive tackle. Well, they could draft defensive tackle anywhere else. I think Washington apparently are big fans of Chris Jones, and he probably will be selected here at the 21st pick. Now to the next pick, the 22nd pick of Houston Texans will select Josh Dotson, wide receiver of TCU. Houston, who of course changed their quarterback and started running back this offseason, will be selecting Josh Dotson to help their passing game with DeAndre Hopkins and other players. And Josh Dotson would be a great addition. He's a very good guy to get a ball in the second level. Okay, next to the next pick, with the 23rd pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings will select Baylor's wide receiver Corey Coleman, who's a speedster. He's not really good at route running back. I think he can improve. And Teddy Bridgewater needs help to maybe have a wide receiver one guy, and I think he can do that. He's not a big guy, and Bridgewater isn't the guy that does throw in tight coverage. That's why I don't think LaQuinn Treadwell will go here, because they need somebody that can run in free spaces and for Bridgewater to have very easy throws. Now to the next pick, the 24th pick in the draft, the Cincinnati Bengals will select LaQuinn Treadwell, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Bengals are really in a need of a wide receiver. They lost their second and third string wide receivers this offseason to the Falcons and Lions in the free agency. They need somebody, be in the other side of AJ Green and LaQuinn Treadwell, who isn't the fastest guy, only ran a 4.6 at the pro day, but has one of the lowest drop percentages in the collegiate level, with only 3.2% of his passes in the college being dropped. And I think he will be a great addition to the Bengals, who are in need of wide receiver. And LaQuinn probably will not go lower as this, as I think a lot of people think he's a very good player in the NFL, could become. Now with the 25th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers will select Mackenzie Alexander, corner out of Clemson. Steelers, who have huge issues at the secondary, will be selecting him because, in my opinion, he's not a very good ball hawker, but he's a very, very, very good player in the coverage. He's not a guy who's going to get you picks, but he's going to be a guy who's going to break up a lot of passes. He reminds me of Josh Norman. He could become a Josh Norman 2.0. And I think, Steelers, the biggest need are secondary members. And I think adding somebody of Mackenzie Alexander's ability would be a great addition to the Steelers. Steelers, of course, are in need of corners. I've been having a lot of personal trainings with a lot of these corners. And I think they will select anybody who's left at this point in the draft. Now, with the 26th pick in the draft, the Seattle Seahawks will select Robert Nkemdiche, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Now, Seahawks have huge holes to fill in the offensive line problems, but in my opinion, this is not going to be what they're going to do. They're very well known to select players of their ability, not what they need. And I think Robert Nkemdiche, they don't want to pass on up on him because he's very athletic defensive tackle. He has off-field issues, but I think Seahawks, they have Michael Bennett, who's coming, will be a free agent next season. They need a lot of help in that defensive line, as they lost a lot of players off-season. They lost Bruce Irvin this season. And I think adding somebody so athletic as Nkemdiche would be a great addition to the team. Now with the next pick, the Green Bay Packers with the 27th pick in the draft will select Andrew Billings, nose tackle / defensive tackle out of Baylor. Packers, who lost their beloved nose tackle B.J. Raji to retirement, will be selecting a new defensive nose tackle in this year's draft, and Andrew Billings is that guy. He can play all three downs, will be a great addition to the team, and will be a straight-up replacement of B.J. Raji, who, of course, retired this offseason. Now to the next pick. With the 28th pick in the draft, the Kansas City Chiefs will select Emmanuel Ogbach, defensive end out of Oklahoma State. Chiefs, who, of course, need a corner to play with Marcus Peters in the other position or corner. I think that will select defensive end Emmanuel Ogbach, who I actually had mocked play in the top 10 in my last mock drafts. But I think while he shows a lot of ability, a lot of teams will pass up on him because while the defensive end position isn't very strong in this year's draft, the teams really need other positions way more, and I think a lot of people don't think that Emmanuel Ogbach can be that good in the next level. But the Chiefs, who lost their pass rushers this offseason, and I think they don't want to pass up on Emmanuel Ogbach's ability, and will select him right here. And he can become a really, really good pass rusher, elite pass rusher. We know that Kansas City really known for producing that kind of players. Now with the 30th pick in the draft, Arizona Cardinals will select Noah Spence, defensive end out of Eastern Kentucky. Of course, another player with a lot of off-field issues, just like Nkdichu, will be selected right here because Cardinals, who of course acquired Chandler Jones in the trade with the Patriots this offseason, will be selecting him because, Cardinals will have to gamble because they want to win that Super Bowl, and adding somebody of Noah Spence's ability, to play with Chandler Jones in that defensive end position will be a great addition to the team, and probably could be a good player in the next level. Now to the next pick, the Carolina Panthers will select Sua Cravens, safety / linebacker out of USC. Panthers, who last year selected Shaq Thompson, a hybrid safety / linebacker, will be selecting another type of that player in Sua Cravens. Apparently, they're really big fans of him, and they probably don't think he can drop low as the second round, so they will select him right here. And with this, they can do a lot of smoke blitzes, a lot of crazy things with both him and Shaq Thompson in the lineup. Now to the next pick, and the last pick of the first round, Denver Broncos will select Paxton Lynch, quarterback out of Memphis. Denver, who of course freed up some cap with the Clady trade to the Jets, could be of course in for quarterback free agency signing, but I don't think they're gonna do that. They're gonna re-sign Juan Miller to a long-term deal, and we'll have some offensive tackles. Getting some offensive tackles in the free agency market. That's probably what's gonna happen. And while the average, there isn't really, any very good quarterbacks left in the free agency market. And I think Denver will decide to draft a quarterback, and Paxton Lynch, who really has a similar build to Brock Osweiler, would be a great addition to the team and could probably start day one with a little bit of risks, or maybe play under Mark Sanchez. We don't know, but I think that's what's going to happen. Thank you guys for watching. Right here, you can see all the picks, and comment below what you think of all picks. Whether you think this mock draft is shitty, just comment below. Think what you do. Comment your thoughts. What won't happen? Why don't you think that was gonna happen? Or maybe what you liked in the draft. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Remember to subscribe and like. See you guys next time. Peace.